Listen. We have gathered the glory in days of yore of the spear Danes, kings among men, how these warriors performed deeds of courage. LL 1-3, often skilled Skeffing seized the mead seats from hordes of harmers, from how many people, terrifying noble men, after he was found so needy at the start. He wrangled his remedy after, growing hale under the heavens, thriving honorably, until all of them had to obey him, those scattered about, across the Whale Road, must pay him tribute. That was a good king. LL 4-11, to him was conceived an heir in days after, young in the yards, whom God had sent as a comfort to the people. He understood the dire distress they had suffered before, bereft of a king for a long while. Therefore the Lord of life, the sovereign of glory, gave to them worldly honor. Beowulf was famous, prosperity sprang widely, as Scyld's son, throughout all the northern lands. LL 12-19, so ought a young man to make good his disposition, gracious payments from the start, even in the lap of his father, so that loyal companions should linger with him in old age, when war comes soon, the people should follow him. By these praiseful deeds son ought to flourish in every tribe everywhere. LL 20-25. Then Scyld turned himself away at his given hour, faring full of greatness, into the covenant of the Lord. Then they brought him to the briny beach, his beloved retainers, just as he himself had bidden while he still wielded words. The benefactor of the Scyldings, the first of the land, dear and old, had ruled them a long time. LL 26-31. There in the harbor stood a ringed prow, icy and outward bound, a nobleman's vessel. Then they laid down their beloved prince, the dispenser of rings, in the bosom of the ship, the notorious by the mast. There were many treasures, brought from far ways, adornments laden there. I've never heard of a ship equipped more fit with war weapons and battle shirts, with swords and with sarks. Many treasures lay in his lap, which were supposed to float far away with him into the flood's keeping. LL 32-42, number lesser gifts did they furnish him, than the wealth of their people, more than what they gave him, when they sent him forth at the start, alone over the waves, while still a baby. LL 43-46, nevertheless they set over him a golden standard, high over his head, letting the seas bear him, giving him to the spear waves, their hearts grieving, minds mourning. No man knows how to say truly, among the all-wise are heroes under heaven, who took in those treasures. LL 47-52, I. Then in the strongholds was the Scylding Beowulf, beloved king of the people for a very long time, famous to his folk. His father departed elsewhere, the prince from this earth, until from him was soon born Halfdane the High, who held on to the joyful Scyldings, so long as he lived, ancient and ferocious in war. LL 53-58, from him, the head of the armies, came 4 children, counted forth in a chain, awakened in the world, Hrothgar and Hrothgar and good Helga, and I heard that his daughter was Onella's queen, the beloved bedfellow of the battle Sifing. LL 59-63, then was Hrothgar given success in war, praises in battle, so that his kinsfolk eagerly obeyed him until the youth grew hardy, a great company of warriors. It occurred to his mind that he wished to command his men to construct a great mead house, the hall of all halls, what the children of men had always asked for, and there within, all would be given, the young and the old, such as God had granted him, everything except the common lands and the lives of men. LL 64-73, then I have learned it far and wide that the work was proclaimed to the many tribes throughout this middle earth, that they must adorn that folkstead. And so it happened in his time, immediately among men, that it was completely finished, the greatest of halls. He created for it the name Heorot, he who had the widest authority of his words. He left no promises unfulfilled and dealt out rings, riches at his feastings. The hall towered there, high and horn-wide, awaiting the whelming flames, the hateful tongues. It was not so long yet until the blade hatred must awaken sworn in laws after their slaughtering malice. LL 74-85. Then wretchedly a mighty monster suffered for a space, he who dwelt in darkness, every day hearing the joy loud in the hall. The voice of harps was there and the ringing song of the scop. One spoke who knew best, of the creation of men, relating from long before. He told that the Almighty made the earth, a shining bright plain, so surrounded by waters. He established both sun and moon, victorious and triumphant, the lamps of light for those living on land, and ornamented all the corners of the earth with limbs and leaves. He also shaped life itself and all kinds of creatures which quickly scurry about. LL 8698. So these noble warriors lodged in their delights blissfully, until their lonely opponent made evil upon them, the fiend from hell. That ferocious spirit was named Grendel, the notorious border strider, who held the moors, the swampy stronghold, the lair of water monsters, an unhappy creature, keeping them a long while, since the Shaper had condemned him as the kin of Cain. That killing had the eternal Lord avenged, after the man had struck down Abel. Cain rejoiced not in that felony, but he banished him far away, the measurer for those wicked deeds, from the kindred of men. From there was conceived all sorts of monstrous things, ogres and elves and revenants. Likewise the giants who struggled against God for many ages, who gave them back their just deserts.